Hi, I'm Ian de Lange, Chief Investment Officer at Seed Investments. Today we're going to be talking about the Seed Balance Fund, which has had just experienced at the beginning of June its 7-year track record.
Thanks, Ian. Seed Balance Fund, over the last 12 months, can you give us some insight as to what's worked and what maybe hasn't worked as well?
Well, Mike, what has been very pleasing over the last 12 months is some of the return that has come through from our active managers. As a multi-manager fund, we allocate money to a range of different managers, equity and property, and in particular the property returns produced a very good return over and above the index. So whereas the index for property only gave about a 3.5% return over the 12-month period, our active manager, Bridge, in this case, gave a return of 19.5%, which was very pleasing.
So speaking about all the different components in the Seed Balance Fund, can you give us a breakdown of the investment process for the Seed Balance Fund and how we manage it?
Okay, it's quite a detailed process, but if we drill it down into its core components, there's two main components that we look at. First of all, we look at the valuation of the different asset classes to determine how much we need to be allocating to any particular asset class. So that's the first thing. How much do we allocate to local shares? How much do we allocate to property? How much do we allocate to offshore equities and property, for argument's sake? Secondly, once we've done that and determined that, then we actually look at the different asset managers and determine who is going to be looking after the local property allocation, who's going to be looking after the local equity allocation, and the same with the offshore. So we see it as a two-pronged process, and we track that on a month-by-month basis.
You gave us some flavor on the manager selection process. What is Seed's view on the whole active versus passive debate? Is one preferred over the other?
We don't have a preference, and we've used both very successfully over many years. Increasingly so in this country, passive is coming to the fore, just as it is globally. We like passive where it makes sense, and we will typically only use active managers where we think that they can actually outperform the index after their costs, and that is exactly what we track. We track the managers' performance after their fees. If we don't think they are able to outperform, or if at a certain point in the particular investment cycle there's a low probability of them outperforming, we have and will continue to look for passive strategies that can meet the requirements that we have.
Finally, can you just give us some idea of how the Seed Balance Fund fits into the range of solutions offered by Seed Investments?
Yeah, so we've got three solution funds at this stage. The Seed Balance Fund is inflation plus 6%. It is geared for those investors with more of a long-term time horizon. We're typically looking from 5 years upwards. Then we've got the Seed Stable Fund. It's targeting inflation plus 4% over time. It's constructed slightly differently. We also look a little bit more at the downside risk with that particular fund. So it's got a bit more of a protectionist type strategy and thinking with respect to the Seed Stable Fund. So it's for those investors who are a little bit more concerned about the risk and maybe with a shorter term time horizon, around about 3 years. And then we've got the Seed Income Fund. Seed Income Fund's got a target return of cash plus 1% over time. It's really looking for those investors with a much shorter time horizon, and really for that money that's sitting in money market and bank accounts. With this particular fund, we're looking at getting a slightly enhanced cash return over time.